Welcome back to page 121. Today we're going to take a look at a fanzine that's been available online since 1995, the Oerth Journal. I say Oerth. You can say Earth if you wish. It's up to you. The Oerth Journal, number one, was published in 95. This is a fanzine done by a group of people that love the game. The fanzine started in 95 and it is still going today. Issue 35 came out not terribly long ago. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. So what this fanzine brought to the table was a nice look at Greyhawk. Everything here is Greyhawk centric. There is a lot of detail on parts of Greyhawk. Here is a great history of Oerth. Long Chronicle of years, as they call it. The county of Sundi. I recently wrapped up a campaign that had been running in Sundi for years. I used this article as some of the basis for that campaign. And then Radagast City. Take a look at it. So here we are taking a look at the history of Oerth, Suloi's Dominion, all the dates that all the stuff happens. This is very useful. I have actually printed parts of this and given it to my players as a reference material for when we play, depending on the campaign. So here we go up to the common years, and this takes us right up to where we are right now. We're all the way down here, the Beggar War, which is detailed in the Gore the Rogue books, of course. That's right here, and toward the bottom right here, 567 common year, and 569, the Battle of Imridi Meadows. I always have a hard time with that word. And up to the current stuff, which is right through the Greyhawk Wars, the day of the Great Signing, the betrayal of Rary. All that is brought out here in a lot of detail. I love this fanzine because they go into such tremendous detail. This is obviously a labor of love for everybody who writes for this fanzine. And I love the way it's done. It's gotten more and more professional over the years. I'm going to go take another. This is issue number one we're looking at right now. I'm going to go ahead and put up another issue. There was a really good interview with Gary Gygax. I want to go to that issue now, and we'll take a quick look at that. Before I get to the issue with the interview with Gary Gygax, I want to take a look at this issue number 4. It goes into a lot of detail on Divers, which is kind of the mirror image city of Greyhawk, and Divers has always played an important role in my campaign. That's why I found this very useful. There's not a ton of actual official information on Divers. This goes into government, military of Divers, the foreign relations. They used to be part of Furiandi. They broke away. It was very useful in my campaign. I still run an active campaign set in Furiandi, and I deal with Divers quite a bit. And here we have measuring up the actual physical Oerth itself. And then we have exploring the Flanus, Green Nightmare in the Amedeo jungle. I say Amedeo. Just a nice look at an area again that hasn't been very well explored in other D&D offerings. I know it's mentioned here and there, but this goes into a tremendous detail on it, and it's free. So, again, my respect for this magazine is huge, simply because this is written by people who had nothing but love for the game in mind when they wrote this up. Okay, we'll go on to the next issue. All right, this issue, we have an interview with Rob Kontz, co-creator of the AD&D game, or D&D game, not AD&D. Sorry, I misspoke there. I don't want to get in any trouble with anybody. But this gives a nice look at the old campaign and how it originated and how it was played. This gives nice insight into what the thinking was when the game was brand new. So here we are. Robilar remembers Erac's cousin. And it's just information from the original campaign. I know a lot of this stuff is available in other sources online by now, but I loved that it was available right here. So this was a great resource, especially in the 90s when the internet was still kind of in its infancy. To have an opportunity to drop into this magazine and just enjoy stuff like this was just so useful. All right, so here we are at issue 12, and this is the one that has the interview with Gary Gygax and gave quite a bit of information on the original campaign. Here's a listing of who was in the God prison in beneath Castle Greyhawk. He lists them as Celestian, the Far Wanderer, Erlithian, the Many, Hieronius, the Invincible, Hextor, the Herald of Hell, Ius the Old, Obad-Hai, the Shalm, Ola Damaro, the Laughing Rogue, Ralashaz, the Unlooked For, and Tritherion, the Summoner. Those are the ones that are listed in this interview. So if you're a Greyhawk geek like me, that was pretty exciting. I read this interview over and over again. I still look at it. There's just some goodness in here for Greyhawk. I appreciated whenever we got a peek into the original campaign. As anyone who's followed Greyhawk knows, those weren't frequent. And when they did come out, it was always just little nuggets and teasers. And again, I realize you can get this in other sources now, but back in the late 90s, which is when this was published, we didn't have those other sources. This was what we had. So now we're going to take a look at a more recent issue of this magazine. Here is issue 35, the most recent that was put out. This is published in the winter of 2020 to 2021, so it's about a year old at this point. Looks a little different than the others, didn't it? Looks flat out professional. I love the look of this. Oerth has adjusted with the series the edition that was out. So when this started, we were still in second, but as things went to third, the stat blocks and information morphed to third, and now, of course, we're in fifth. The nice thing about this magazine is it's basically edition agnostic. You can use any of this information taken as written, and there's nothing in here that keeps you from using it in your first edition campaign like I do. It's gotten a lot more professional looking. We've got a lot more. This looks like an old issue of the Dragon magazine. And again, I have nothing but respect and appreciation for the folks that put this together, doing so out of love of the game. Here's the table of contents. They publish, there are, they call them Tarask editions, where they're just big editions, and then they'll have a separate section that'll have maps in it. This is just a great thing to be involved with. If ever I get around to writing something, maybe I'll submit it and we'll see if we can get any traction there. I don't hold my hopes up, but maybe one day. So here we are, the dust cutters for the sailors of the Ashen Dunes. These are brought out in the Gore the Rogue novels, where they use sailboats along the sand. Neat little fantasy thing. Just Legends of the Gnarly. Here's a Black Dragon profile. There's so much that you can draw out of this magazine, and the best thing is, for your Greyhawk campaign, it's all Greyhawk. So that's all I really have to say about Oerth Journal itself. I'm going to go up to take a quick look at his sister magazine that was published, and as far as I know, it was only a one-shot, but we are going to take a look at it because it was brought to you by a lot of the same folks as have done and are doing Oerth Journal, and was also worth looking up. I'm going to attach links to Oerth Journal and to this other one that I'm about to show you in the description below, so you'll be able to find these for your own downloads. So just 1 second. All right, the last thing I want to take a look at today is Canon Fire Chronicles, which was published in 2013. This is another e-zine, and the original idea was to make this a sister magazine to the Oerth Journal. Unfortunately, we only ever saw, as far as I'm aware, one issue of this. If anybody knows different, please let me know. I've only been able to find the one. It's a very quality magazine, great cover, great content, and I appreciate the folks that put this together. Again, as a labor of love. I just don't know why we only ever got one issue. So if anybody out there knows why we only got one Canon Fire Chronicle, please let me know. I'm not interested if it was due to infighting or anything like that. If you want to just say, oh, it didn't work out, that's fine. But I'm really interested in is this around? Is this going to be anything in the future, or was this just a one and done? So that's all I've got for today for page 121. I'm going to put some links below for the Canon Fire Chronicle and for the Oerth Journals. Please put any comments down. If you've enjoyed these magazines for years, please let me know. And if you have any questions, go ahead and put them down. If you liked what you saw today, please like and subscribe. Tell your friends. And I'll see you next time on page 121.